The people have spoken! Well, the people have spoken and they want scones. I love to cook, but I don't love to bake as much as my daughter does. We've brought Hannah in here today. She's a great baker. She's better than me. And she has developed, it's true, and she has developed an excellent scone recipe. This is an adaptation of other recipes?
Collaboration.
Okay.
Yes.
And we shared an Instagram picture recently of her scones on a snowy day, and we were asked to have a video. So you're going to show the tricks, the tips, and the recipe today.
The inside scoop.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to let you go with this, and I'll be your assistant.
Okay.
All right, cool. What's first?
So how do we start? Do the thing. Start out with my sifter, get all my dry ingredients in my bowl. Alright, I start out with 2 cups of like plain all-purpose flour.
And why did you stir it with a knife? Yeah.
Just to like aerate it a little bit because you don't want your flour to be like all compressed. But I'm going to sift it anyway, so it's really okay.
So if you pack it down in there and shake it without having air in it, the measurement will be different, right?
Yeah, you get like too much flour.
Yeah.
So this makes it a little bit better.
And that makes your baking dense.
Yeah. But then you can sift it anyway.
Can I sift this? Am I allowed?
You may, yes.
Thank you.
So 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, 2 teaspoons of baking powder. I kind of just eyeball it. You really should scrape it off and make it level. That's good.
So if you don't keep your baking powder in a jar, but you use the can that it comes in, we buy it in bulk.
Yeah, you
it
can
has
scrape
that little
it flat.
scraper thing. Yeah,
It's much better. You really should measure it correctly.
But I don't think your scones have ever been bad. And
No, I think that
I think
the secret ingredient is love.
What do I do with all these little chunks at the bottom?
I like to press it down with a spoon, but sometimes if you have like sugar crystals from your sugar, you don't want to have like chunky crystals, so it's fine to catch the big stuff. A pinch of salt.
Okay.
What am I forgetting?
I got flour all over the place. It's probably going to change the ingredients. Oh, you need some sugar.
What's a party foul, Mom?
It's a party foul.
3 tablespoons of sugar. And then that is all of your dry ingredients.
Great. Well, that was really easy.
Yeah.
I made a mess.
Oh my god. Last time I asked you to make scones.
I'm going to be fired as the assistant.
Anyway, if you don't have a sifter or something, you can just aerate with a fork and make everything ready and mixed so that you don't have clumps of like baking soda or anything. Alright, so then you're going to need a stick, 1/2 cup unsalted butter, and get ready to cut it into your dry ingredients. So I like to cut it up into small pieces before I put it in. I think it helps it combine better. You don't have to do as much work with the pastry cutter.
Where's the knife? There it is.
But just take it, cut it into little rectangles.
So about a tablespoon at a time, maybe a little less than a tablespoon.
Maybe a little bit less than a tablespoon.
Okay.
Tablespoon's kind of chunky.
We're going to distribute them around the flour, and then we're going to cut it in. Now, I didn't have a pastry cutting tool when I was a kid. My mom used to use a fork. We're going to use a pastry cutter. But if you don't have one, you can do this with a fork. That's what my mom used to use.
Yeah, you can totally use a fork. I feel like I end up bending the forks when I try and use a fork. So
Sure.
Pastry cutter. Yeah, pastry cutter is just easier. And you want to make sure you're using cold butter, just because if you're using like room temperature butter and you're trying to cut it in, your butter's just going to smush and go everywhere. And you're trying to get it to resemble like a coarse meal. The largest the butter should be is like the size of a pea.
Okay.
These scones are made with buttermilk, but
there's a storm coming and there isn't any buttermilk at the store.
I don't know why everyone needs buttermilk because there's a storm coming. Like, I'm gonna make a lot of scratch pancakes, I guess. But you can substitute. I think that you really should use like 1/2 and 1/2 or something thicker to substitute. Usually you can just do milk and lemon juice, but it needs something a little thicker for this recipe. So a 1/2 cup of buttermilk, or if you don't have it, 1/2 and 1/2 with
a little lemon juice.
A little lemon juice, just to...
We didn't measure that. What do we tell the people?
A splash. Then 1 large egg. I like to crack it right into my buttermilk and mix it a little bit, pre-mix it, just so you don't have like big clumpy egg.
Okay. You got that? Can I stir?
Yes, and you can lightly beat the egg.
Don't overbeat it.
Alright. Don't overdo it.
Okay, I'm done.
No. It's good. And it would be at this point, if you're trying to flavor it or make like a different kind of scone, you can add some of your flavorings. So we're going to add lemon zest because we're going to make lemon blueberry scones.
Okay.
So we're going to zest about one, these are kind of small lemons, maybe two of these lemons.
Alright. I'm going to get started on this.
Measure with your heart.
Measure with my heart.
So yeah, I think maybe two. Like a heaping tablespoon, perhaps. I don't know. I kind of just tend to go for it. If you think it's too much lemon zest, that's incorrect. There isn't such thing as too much lemon zest.
There's no such thing as too much lemon zest.
I don't think so, at least.
Okay. Now, when I do my lemon zesting, I want to point out that you want to just take off the shiny outside yellow part. Don't get a lot of this pithiness.
Yeah,
it makes
start
it
tasting weird.
really bitter.
And another thing I've noticed is like you really need to wash your lemons when you get them from the grocery store because a lot of the time they have like chemicals on the outside, and then you've got like scones that taste like pesticides.
That's not what we're looking for.
Which is not exactly the vibe that we're going for
Okie dokie.
today. That actually might be fine.
Okay,
It's like almost a tablespoon. We can scrape it out of the zester. It's good. Okay. So add a lemon zest. And now I've made like orange zest and dark chocolate scones before. And in that case, I just did like the zest from one orange and I added dark chocolate at this point. I thought those were fantastic. Some scone purists think that it's a hate crime.
I'm not one of those people.
I think
thought
that
they were
they're delicious.
Okay, we agree.
The dark chocolate and the orange really pairs well. But
that particular someone who didn't like the orange chocolate scones loves the chocolate
chocolate and orange, but just thinks that chocolate in scones is unacceptable.
Okay.
Couldn't explain why. So anyway, we've got our egg,
Get this out
our
again.
one egg, and our buttermilk. And I've made a little well. I'm going to pour my egg and my buttermilk into the well. We've got our buttermilk and our egg in our little well. And I like to use a fork to combine because I feel like you don't overwork it when you're using a fork. And that's like the most important part at this stage is not to overmix.
So a scone, like a biscuit, needs to be light and fluffy, and you do that by just folding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be like this perfect dough consistency. Like it's not going to be as dry as you might think it should be.
You would never do this in a mixer.
No, God. As far as hate crimes go, you've committed a hate crime against scones if you're trying to make it in a mixer.
Okay, so hand mix gently.
So gently combine with the fork.
Yeah, no.
A lot of the time the flour gets stuck on the bottom. You just want to turn it. And yeah, it's a pretty wet consistency, and so the idea is that, yeah, this is enough.
This is done.
We've mixed enough. Any more would be right out.
Right out!
Everyone, I dare you. Do it. Do it. Anyway. Alright, so my mixture's just combined, and now I'm going to add my blueberries. Again, there's not a specific measurement. You can add too much because then you'll have like way too many blueberries and it'll be really wet and it won't mix. But I like to just
toss them in there. All wildly.
I'm actually counting as we're going. This is 47 to be exact.
She's really fast counter.
Yeah. That's probably good. You don't add too many, but you need a blueberry in every bite.
Okay. So the measurement is a blueberry in every bite.
That is the measurement, yes.
Okay, good to know.
So just look at how many bites you have and think about how many blueberries you're going to need, and then do the math, I guess. So now you will need you're going to need your scone mixture just the tiniest bit and form it into like a scone shape. So you're going to flour your surface. And just gently scrape your mixture out. I know it's like really wet. Scrape it out onto your floured surface. I'm just going to add some flour to the top of this because it is really wet and it's going to want to stick to everything you're doing. So I just like to roll it so the outside gets floured. Just a little bit. And it's going to get all over your hands. That's why you have your assistant to sprinkle flour for you. Okay, a little bit right there. Both the left. Maybe you missed a spot. It's all part of the process. Yeah. So you want to knead it like a few times, but with my blueberries I don't want to crush them, so I'm just kind of turning this about and making a mess while I'm doing it. You flour the top of it.
Sure.
And give me a good flouring underneath. Like more. That's it. Okay. I like to just pat gently into a circle about 7.8 inches in diameter, I would say.
Okay.
So it's gonna look like a little pancake. I patted my scones into a nice little circle, and it is still really sticky, so I like to use a really sharp knife and just cut my scones. Just flour your knife a little bit so it doesn't stick. And I like to do them in triangles. Honestly, I've never tried doing them in circles. A lot of people like making them in circles. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think it makes 8 triangles really well, and that's like the perfect amount of scones to me. And then I just kind of toss that bad boy onto my baking sheet. Oh goodness, could you read this? Sometimes they resist their triangular shape. You kind of have to guide them.
Meanwhile, we've had our oven warming up to what temperature?
425, so I know you might think that that sounds like really hot, but higher temperature will let them rise a little bit. They're not going to be this low and flat. So by doing them up at 425, we only do it for 14 minutes.
Okay.
No more, no less.
No more, no less.
You'll kind of see the mixture is really wet on the inside, but the outside is floured, so it allows me to handle it. Okey-doke.
Because we don't want to waste this. This is not a problem, this is an opportunity.
Yes.
What are we going to do with this now?
We're gonna make lemon curd. I have a problem, which is that every time I bake white cake, I use 5 egg whites, and then I have these little bowls of egg yolks that I save and leave in the fridge.
Which is conveniently in the way.
Everyone loves when I do this because it doesn't get in the way at all, actually. There's just little bowls of egg yolks that I save. And I do this because I absolutely can't stand wasting, like, expensive eggs that I buy.
Yeah.
But, just so happens, it's perfect to make lemon curd.
Oh, I'm a good juicer, I'll add.
Close. I'm just gonna toss my sugar. Oh, I got a little bit of lemon zest and stuff in there, so we're just gonna do that. Oh, I caught a seed! Woohoo! That was a good save. Lemon zest. Can you scrape it out? You can see they're a little bit golden brown on top, and that's how you know they're perfect. Because inside they're very soft and light, and you can see they're full of air pockets. Generally pretty perfect.
I tried.
Get a little bit of lemon curd to go with it. They're pretty spectacular.
I mean, who needs dinner? We'll just eat scones.
Lemon curd.
Please, sir. I want some more.
Well, these are delicious, and we think you need to make them soon. We hope that you will make them and post your video or picture on Instagram, and you can tag Life at the Nest. And Hannah has her own page, Caked by Han, on Instagram and Facebook. So share with us what you made, and
Bonus points if you try something new and add like
ooh, a twist.
some orange and dark chocolate.
Oh, they're pretty delicious.
That would be hilarious.
Thanks for joining us today. Enjoy your scones.
We're gonna make some tea. Make a cuppa. Go with your scones. The British breakfast. It literally says the perfect cuppa. on it. Can we Republic of Tea, can you sponsor us? I'm a really big fan. I actually don't drink the British breakfast tea. Sorry.
I do.
The British breakfast tea, but I love the blackberry sage. You send me the British breakfast tea. No, the blackberry sage. I love that very much. There you go. No, what I was saying was we should have filmed the whole video in a British accent.